Welcome to episode 10.
Flangers.
We're
on a modulation kick here.
We are. We just did some phasers and now we're doing some flangers.
Yeah.
What do we got here today, Curry?
Oh, we have a whole lot of stuff going on here. We have everything from a Boss to an EVH to an MXR to a Digitech. A little old school Digitech there in the end. I can tell you right off the bat, I'm just looking at these. The coolest looking one is by far the EVH. And the MXR is pretty cool too. Because I love, we talked about this in the last episode. There's something very cool about the simplicity of the MXR pedals.
Absolutely.
But, so yeah, they're cool. But the EVH is all striped up. We know how I feel about that.
Yeah, so flangers, right? So they came out in the 70s, right? I think MXR might have been one of the first companies. They had the M117, which this is more or less that 117 with an EVH switch. What the EVH switch does is it recalls some of the classic VH flange sounds on songs like Unchained.
Yeah. I mean, like that to me, that's the
ultimate
one that jumps out at you, right? Everybody knows that.
Yep. This guy is the Micro Flanger. This is sort of the baby brother to the M117, where it just has your rate and your regeneration knobs, right? So it's basically these two, right? Because speed is rate, right? So this guy's got, your manual and your width, whereas this guy's just, got your rate and your regeneration. This old school Digitech looks like it's probably from, the late 90s?
Yeah, I would say
2000s?
early 2000s, yeah, like
Early
2001
2000s.
or so.
Yep. And this
right.
has got your speed, depth, and regeneration, as well as a type selector for multiple different types of flange sounds.
Yep.
And then we have the Boss. This is a BF3, which I don't believe they produce anymore. I think they do a BF2 or a BF4.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't think they make the BF3 anymore. But this is sort of standard affair, right? You have your manual, your depth, your rate, and then you have a mode selection of what type of flange you want. There's a momentary switch flange setting here too, where you can use sort of the pedal is to hold the flange sounds sort of momentarily. So
that's cool.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. And you have stereo outputs on this guy.
Yeah, I think the turbo flange has that too, right?
Does
it have stereo outs on the side?
It does have stereo outs. Yep.
And this has a bass in too. It's got guitar in and
bass in. Right.
So,
right, because the bass is different.
Totally different.
It's different.
You got to have a different input for the bass, for sure. So, yeah, I mean...
So we talked about phasers, in the last episode, right? And how iconic it was. What's your introduction to flanger sounds? Would it have anything to do with this paint job?
Actually, it does. In fact, the first time I heard it is Ain't Talking About Love.
Okay.
That,
all right, yeah.
That whole thing that was my first introduction to flange. But didn't know what it was.
Right.
But a friend of mine who I've talked about in other episodes that was the local guy that I used to play guitar with a lot. He was kind of a step ahead of me. Mm-hmm. Playing-wise, equipment-wise, he had like the cool green BC Rich from hell when I was still playing along on my little crappy guitar. And he had a flange pedal. And I remember that and hearing it and being like, well, that's that sound. And I hear it in the Van Halen album. Yeah. It's so cool. That's a flanger. So that's when it kind of pieced it together. What I was hearing was I knew that sound was different than a phase. Not totally different.
Right.
But different enough where you can differentiate.
I remember when I first started playing and learning about effects, I didn't know what the difference was.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell the difference until a little bit later on. I think my first flanger was actually a DOD, which I believe became Digitech.
Yeah, they were definitely, there's some relationship there for sure.
Right. And then I had a flanger in many years, fast forward to, from the 80s, fast forward to the mid-2000s. And I acquired this guy, loved it. And then I came across this guy, and then this guy finally last. They're all great. Let's check them out.
Yeah, totally.
Which one you want to start with?
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Let's start with the Boss.
Yeah, let's check it out. So we have everything kind of centered at straight up so that we can hear it in its purity and then mess around with the settings as we go along. So I'll just hold out some chords so we can hear the sweet.
I'm going to just mess around with the knobs first, and then we'll check out that EVH button there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's hear what the EVH says. Great. Let's hear the microphone. Let's set this sounds like it's adding some brightness to your tone.
That's like over the top. Formulating my opinion now. What are you thinking? Do you have any? I have two favorites so far.
Okay, so I'm just going to start by saying they all sound very similar.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
all do pretty much the same
Yeah.
thing.
Well, Flange is an over-the-top effect to me.
It is.
You know, it kind of takes over.
It does take over.
And for
Totally
that,
takes over.
it's hard to hear your natural tone buried in there. But I think two of them preserve that natural tone a little better than the other two.
Okay. So let's hear it. What are your two?
The two MXR, well, the EVH by MXR, right?
Okay.
And the MXR for me.
The Micro Flanger.
Yeah, the Micro Flange and the EVH just sounds so much better to me than the other two.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
especially the
It's funny that
Digitech-
this one's purple too, right?
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah, and they're so similar.
They
Like
are.
they even their setting controls, they have like that. Yeah, but they're a little too over the top for me. I don't know. I like that one better. I think my order and preference is going to be least favorite to most favorite. I go least, next least, and I'm torn. And I'll tell you why I'm torn. I love the simplicity of the Micro Flanger, but I love the look of this. Paint job rules, and that button that gives you instant unchain.
They should just call it cool.
You just a cool button. So for that, and I hate to sound like, you know, the fanboy that I am, I gotta go with the EVH. But they sound very similar to me, right? As you A-B them like that?
I think I prefer this one a little bit more.
Yeah, they're very similar.
They are very similar. But I gotta say, I'm surprised at how good this guy sounds. This guy sounds pretty damn good.
You know what it is? I know what you're saying, but to me it's just so over the top. But maybe that's just an adjustment.
Well, you don't have the ability to adjust the effect.
Exactly.
How about on this guy? You don't have that either.
Yeah. So it gives you a very pronounced flange effect, but too much.
MXRs win all day long.
Yeah, they do.
They're probably my all-time favorite effects too.
Yeah.
MXR, I love them.
Yep.
I have a lot of them. Not being biased here, I have Boss pedals that I love, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff. But MXRs usually always sound great. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
And what I'm learning about the MXR pedals compared to others is they preserve the natural sound of the instrument better than the others for whatever. That's what I'm getting out of this. The effect,
which some would call transparent, I believe.
Yeah.
We'll call that transparent.
Yeah. So and that's, for me, that's such a key component to it, because one of the downsides of adding effects is you don't want to process your sound too much. So, and I think the Digitech, while it has a very good flange sound, it's just dumping all over your sound, which is why I'm preferring the MXRs. And that pedal looks cool.
It looks cool. And my monitors are going crazy.
Oh boy, here we go. So, anyway, that's the deal. I'm going to go with EVH for the win. Close second, Micro Flange. I'm going to go with, I don't know, I can't even differentiate between the two. I'd say
I would
the Boss.
edge this guy up a little bit before this, but I would agree with you on that order.
That's my order. So, there you have it. Comment, let us know what you guys think, because I'm curious. You've seen all the different pedals and all the different sounds going through our setup here. I'd like to know what you guys think.
Yep.
But for me, EVH wins.
Once again.
Eddie always wins.
Once again.
He's the king.
All right, guys.
All right, guys. Till next time.
See ya.
See ya.